Level up with Winnie Sun.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Welcome back and happy Tuesday. How you doing? The beginning of the week, right? The first couple of days, kind of get into the swing of things. If you're joining us on the replay, a big hello to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's wonderful to have you with us. It's also a special day to be here with our friends from Modern Mom. Thank you so much for being here. Let's start with the market, let you know how it closed. Now, the Dow closed down 30 points, the Nasdaq up though 43, and the S&P up also just short of 1 point, believe it or not, up 0.73. That's right. Now, the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, as you know, has eased travel recommendations now in over 60 countries, including Japan, France, South Africa, Spain, Italy, and Canada. So this has certainly caused travel stocks to move positively today. Analysts express optimism about international and business travel. And this gave a boost to United Airlines, Delta Airlines, American Airlines, a few others. You know, they're certainly feeling like they can get back to normal. In fact, a good friend of mine, Mark, is in Alaska with his son, and they actually took first class. I'm kind of jealous about that. So let me ask you, are you planning to travel? And if so, where are you headed? I would love to hear. Hello. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, if you are, you're probably thought about also how best to fund your next vacation. You know, maybe you've been saving and that's what you've been collecting over the last year. And maybe you've been using some airline miles that you've been saving. I know that's what Mark did, that he and his son, they actually flew first class to Alaska on points. I think they spent a total of $11. So that's impressive. Or maybe you're interested in utilizing your own credit card points to stretch your travel budget. But where do you start? And what do you need to know? Because in 2020, for those of you who didn't see last year, the average FICO score in the United States, believe it or not, reached 710 points, which is an increase from the previous year of over 7 points. And this year, overall credit card and consumer debt stands at over $2 trillion, up almost 5% from the first quarter of 2020. In fact, credit card balances, though, here's the good news, also dropped almost 10% in the first quarter of 2021 compared to last year. And because many of us have had to shelter in place, work from home, spend less in discretionary purchases, the average consumer debt, aka credit card debt, which of course excludes mortgages, fell over 4% to about $20,000 for the first quarter of 2020. So this is a big discussion. I'm excited because today is very special. I'm joined by someone I'm a fan of, and also I consider a dear friend. Someone I look up to, it's Michelle, the one and only Michelle Black. Welcome, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, Winnie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Well, we are so honored to have you here with us. It's wonderful to see all of you. Let's talk with Michelle. She is the founder of CreditWriter.com and HerCreditMatters.com, which is a leading credit expert with nearly 2 decades of experience in the credit industry. She specializes in credit reporting, credit scoring, debt eradication, which is a big one. She's like the superhero of debt, budgeting, and identity theft. But she's also a certified credit expert witness and personal finance writer who's been published in MyFICO, Experian, Forbes, U.S. News, and so many more. You've seen her or you've read what she's written in so many different places. So I'm honored to have her with us. She was also named one of the top 100 of Modern Mom 100 this year. So it is such a treat to have her. So let's have some fun. Those of you who are joining us, I see many of you from all different platforms. Hello. Let's talk about this. We're gonna have some fun credit card trivia because, to be honest with you, I actually had to look some of this up because I didn't know what this is. So let me ask you this: who do you think issued, or which company do you think issued the first universal credit card in 1950? Now, I want to mention that actually, based on my research, first credit card came out in the 1920s. But in 1950 was the first universal credit card. Do you think number one's Discover Card, Visa, American Express, MasterCard, or Diners Card? Now, those of you who are watching, definitely welcome to the show, and definitely know that we're monitoring comments. We'd love to hear what you have to say. But let's go to you, Michelle. What do you think? Do you think you know the answer to this?
I don't, but I'll take a guess.
Take a guess.
American Express.
American Express. Now, we love American Express. Talk about great service. Let me ask you this, Michelle. Do you have an American Express card? And if so, which one do you have?
I do. I have the Amex Platinum, the personal one.
That's a great card, right? It gives you I love that Uber Eats credit each month. It gives my kids and I something to look forward to, like, what are we going to order this month? It's not a big splurge, but it makes it really, really fun. So I love that. All right. So those who are watching, I see you're stumped. That's okay. Let me just tell you, I didn't know the answer to this, and this is definitely not one I would have guessed. I probably would have guessed like Visa or MasterCard, but actually the answer is Diner's card. Yeah.
Yep.
And yet Michelle's like, oh, I guess I know that. But I remember, actually, Michelle, one of my first clients, we went somewhere to eat, right? And he pulled out his wallet and he pulled out a Diner's card. And I remember thinking, like, what is that? Of course, I fought him to the bill. I paid for the bill. But I remember thinking, what is a Diner's card? But I guess it's been around since 1950. So, we got to know our credit card history here. This is really important. All right.
Yeah.
Next trivia. Without a doubt. All right, friends, here's the second question. I think you're going to enjoy this, because this one I had no idea too. When was the FICO score created, and what is this? Okay, so we're going to get to the what is this with Michelle in just a moment. But when do you think the FICO score was created? Now, many of you know the FICO score as our credit score, right? Which is really important. It's like a personal financial report card, if you will. But when do you think it was created? Do you think it was 1952? 1974, 1901, or 2008, or 1989? All right, so I'm letting all of you, okay. So Scott is saying 1989. Okay, Scott Richards, welcome to the show from LinkedIn. It's great to have you with us. Anybody else want to take? I know this is kind of a hard one. I probably should have asked a little bit easier questions, but let's go to Michelle. Michelle, what do you think?
Well, I think the FICO score was introduced at Equifax in 1989, but I believe it was created in 1952.
Whoa, did you hear that? It's kind of next level stuff there.
I might be wrong about the 1952. We'll see.
You know what, though? I mean, we knew that the Diner's card was established in 1950, right? So, like, the FICO a couple of years later, that, I can see the reason. I mean, yeah. Well, let's just say, Mr. Scott Richards, you are our winner here. Absolutely. Scott said E, and in fact, it was 1989. So 1956, you actually like this. 1956, now, Bill Fair and Eric Isaac did form a company to predict human behavior with advances in computer technology, and they did introduce the first scoring system. However, it wasn't until 1989 that Fair, Isaac, and Company introduced the first FICO scores, based on information that Michelle said exactly right, which is from the three credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Scott says, cool, and he says, I'm old, that's why. You know what? Scott, you're not old. You're just wise. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So thank you so much for tuning in. We love that. We appreciate you, Scott. Awesome. Well, let's talk about this. Michelle, we've got these credit card things, many of them. And one thing that I haven't seen a lot of discussion on social media, and actually even, publications, is the concept of getting credit cards and getting FICO score, sort of building up for our children. So you're a parent, and I know you've got a little one at home right now. I'm a parent as well. When did you get your first credit card? I'm curious, Michelle.
I was 18 when I got my first credit card. I was in college.
In 18. Okay. Now, I got my first credit card, I remember, around 15, 16 years old. And it came from my mom. She had a gold Visa card. I remember thinking, oh, you must be fancy because you have a gold Visa card. And she made me an authorized user. And I remember her saying, like, don't use it unless for emergencies. I just want you to have it. And it was actually one of the best financial lessons she gave me, because she sort of gave me some boundaries on how to use this, but I felt a security of knowing if I needed to, I could swipe that card. So, Michelle, at what age do you think that you can start helping your child establish credit? I'm really curious because I don't even know this.
Well, you can start helping your child establish credit really at whatever age you want, depending on the credit cards you hold. Chase, for example, Capital One, several credit card issuers will let you add your children as authorized users to your credit cards at any age. American Express, for example, makes you wait until you're 13. And then there are a couple of card holders like Barclays and Bank of America, I believe, that make you wait until your child is 18. So really, if you hold a card that lets you add your child at any age, then it's up to you when you want to add them as an authorized user and enable them to start building credit.
Got it. Got it. So that's great because I did. So my 7-year-old has a credit card so I did add him as an authorized user on my Chase credit card. And you're right. As an authorized user, what I'm hearing you say is he's establishing credit even as an authorized user on my credit card, right?
Yes, most likely, as long as the card issuer reports it to Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, which most of them do, then he's establishing credit now.
That's very cool. Now, I'm just curious, in addition to getting him a credit card, are there other ways to help him establish credit? Do you know if I'm just going to guess, I mean, if he found, let's say he was a, I don't know, child YouTube star and he had a paycheck and, he had to file taxes, imagine that would help his credit as well. But I'm just curious if you know of any other ways.
I don't know of any other ways until he turns 18, actually. You could add him to multiple credit cards if you wanted, and that could strengthen his credit if he becomes an authorized user on several different accounts. Potentially that could help him. But once he's 18, then he could open a credit builder loan, for example, to start building credit. If you take out student loans, for example, for the purpose of paying for education, that can help your child build credit. So there are ways once your child hits that magical number of 18 to kind of enrich what you've already started.
I love that. Well, let's talk about co-signing, Michelle. Is it a good idea to co-sign to help your child build credit? What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm not personally a big fan of co-signing. I'm not going to co-sign for my kids, but I am going to definitely help them build credit. And the reason I am not for co-signing is because it puts your own personal credit at risk, and you can help your child establish credit without going down that path and without taking on that risk. I don't think it's necessary if your goal is to build credit.
I love that. So, and what's really interesting that you said too, is that, I guess I didn't think about this. I got my 3 little ones credit cards as authorized users on one of my cards, but I can definitely add them to my other cards. And I'm guessing from what I'm hearing you say too, is if I'm adding them to other cards and those cards continue to be paid off on time and everything's handled in a very responsible way, having multiple cards could, in theory, boost your credit more quickly. Have you heard that to be the case?
It definitely could potentially, let's say in theory, you have 3 credit cards that you pay on time and that the balance remains low on them each month, so that the credit utilization level is low. Then yes, having multiple cards show up on your child's credit report could give them a more robust credit report, if you will, a thicker file. And so that absolutely has the potential to benefit them until they reach 18 and can start adding in a different mixture of account types like installment accounts through the credit builder loan, which I mentioned, which I'm a big fan of the credit builder loan product too, because it's a way to build credit without going into debt, just like credit cards. If you pay it off every month, you can use it to build credit without actually building debt at the same time.
So tell us about this credit builder loan. This is new to me. Tell me more about it. What is this like? How is this different from another loan that we might be familiar with?
So a credit builder loan, you can get them a lot of times at your local credit union. There are some online lenders like Self Inc. that operates credit builder loans as well. And let's say you qualify for a $500 loan. The bank doesn't actually give you the funds, or the lender doesn't give you the funds. Instead, what they do is they hold it in an account. Usually it's an interest bearing account, but you should check with the lender to be sure. And then you'll make a series of payments, usually over about 12 to 24 months, to that lender each month. And what happens is once you make your final payment, the funds are released to you plus the interest they earned. And during that 12 months that you were making payments, the lender has reported you to the credit bureaus. So you've built this on time credit history, preferably, on time if you pay it on time. And it's kind of like a forced savings account at the same time. The fees and the interest are usually pretty minimal. You're going to pay a couple $100s or less over the course of a year or two to establish credit, and then have that savings amount to tap into when you're done.
So can anyone open up a credit builder loan, or are there any, like, do they have to have a certain age, anything like that?
You do have to be 18 to open a credit builder loan, because you have to be 18 to sign a contract. And then you have to check with the lender or the credit union to make sure that they offer the account to 18-year-olds. Most of them do, but they have their own criteria. And you just have to qualify. Usually you don't have to have great credit or any established credit to open them and qualify, because the risk is low to the lender since they're holding on to the funds, and they're designed with the purpose of helping people either establish credit for the first time or rebuild damaged credit.
Oh, that's really helpful. This is really great advice, Michelle. This is wonderful. I think if more parents knew this, right? If more kids knew about this, imagine what a difference this could make before they even step into college. This is great. One thing we've talked a lot about through the years is the importance of always being mindful of your credit score, your FICO score, or just where you stand, because that helps you identify if anything that's reported is inaccurate or needs to be fixed, or if something on there just doesn't look familiar, then you can check into this. So on that note, you've got little ones at home. I've got little ones at home. We already have to check our own credit score and all the other bills and whatnot. Should we also be checking our kids' credit report? I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't done that yet.
So the Federal Trade Commission recommends that you definitely check your child's credit report around the time that they're 16. I go one step beyond that and say to kind of be on the lookout for red flags. If you see any bills show up in the mailbox, for example, in your child's name, or any credit card applications show up in the mailbox in your child's name, or if you get a phone call from a creditor or a collection agency asking for your child, then those are all red flags that someone may have stolen your child's identity. And that's a reason you would want to go ahead and check it early at any age. But otherwise, sometime in their teenage years, you probably want to check it. And you can go to each credit bureau, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, and use their search feature and look up how to check a credit report for a minor, and they'll walk you through the steps. Usually you have to send in a birth certificate or some kind of, proof of identity for your child and proof that you should have authorization to check it.
Oh, that's good to know. I actually didn't even think about that. That makes sense because they would know that you're checking on behalf of your child, but you have to be able to justify that it's actually your child. So really good. This is honestly, I never even thought about that, but yeah, that makes sense to check it at 16. My kids are certainly under that age, but I think it would be good to do that. I know like certain companies like Experian are really helpful. When you set up your account for yourself, they can even send you alerts via email. So I'd be curious to see. I'm guessing they have a system like that for minors as well, just so that we can keep on top of that as well. So let me ask you this. What are some good ways to teach young children and teens about how to manage? We talk about managing money, but managing credit as well.
So we've already talked about one of my favorite ways, and that's adding your child as an authorized user if you're comfortable doing that. Of course, you know your child and you know whether or not you believe that's something they're ready for. But the great thing with a lot of credit cards, like my Chase Sapphire Reserve, for example, is they will let you set a separate credit limit for your authorized user account. So if I want to cap my child's ability to charge at $50 or $100 or $200 or whatever the number is, I can cap it. That way they can't overspend anything we've discussed. And one thing I do now with my kids is they're young, they're 8 and 9, and I have a 7-month-old, so he's not authorized on anything yet. But my bigger babies, what we do is they have just a clear savings jar that they put their allowance in every month. It's a mason jar, and it's clear so that they can see the cash that's in it. And they'll save it, and we'll put money aside for charitable giving, for church, and for other long-term savings goals. But at this age, a lot of it just goes toward fun stuff for them. Once they've reached whatever they're wanting to save for, my daughter wanted a new wireless mouse for her laptop, for example. So once she reached that, we went online. I let her use the credit card, key everything in, and then she had to withdraw the money from her savings jar and give it to me, because as soon as you charge it, you have to be able to pay it, to the bank so that you don't incur debt and interest. So we just have a lot of conversations like that in day-to-day life. To try to relate to them. I've loaned her money when she wanted to get something, interest-free loan, because mama's going to give you interest-free, but she made me payments every week toward the loan, and I just think those kind of practices at a young age are good. And then of course you can get more advanced and more in depth as your child gets older, and you can teach them more detailed concepts about credit.
Yes, that I love that. I love that. All right, wonderful. Well, let me ask you this. I want to say hello to our good friend Jenna. Jenna Dobkin is here. It's wonderful to see you, Jenna. Now, she asked a question. She said that we answered, but I want to make sure we clarify this. She said, just joined. What age do you recommend kids start with a credit card? I know, my youngest is 7. He has his credit card. We signed up him on several summer camps this summer, and he was really excited because we paid for those summer camps with his credit card. And Michelle said, it's a teaching moment. We can explain what this means, and he also understands that this needs to be paid as well. Michelle, obviously 7 months old, maybe a little young. Mm-hmm. At what age do you think? I think the younger the better, but let me ask you what you think.
I agree. Each parent knows their child, I would say, but this is something I started doing with my kids probably around 6 or 7 as well, initially to teach them. But if your child, you don't think is ready for that, then maybe you wait till 13 or 14 or 15. It all depends on the child and if your credit card issuer allows it. So there's not a specific right answer there. You just kind of have to research and go with your gut when you think your child's ready.
Absolutely. I think that's a great answer. I think, for me, it was when I felt like I could actually leave them the credit card and nothing would happen to it. Mm-hmm. Like it would be safe, and it would be, my 7-year-old has a special box that he keeps his credit card, and he is that excited about it. So yeah, I love that. I love the answer. And hopefully, Jenna, that we were able to answer that. I want to say a quick hello to my friend Cross-Sex Fighter. Joshua, it's wonderful to have you here with us as well. Let's continue to talk about this. Other than authorized user status, you talked about, the credit builder loan as well when a child turns 18. What are the things that you think that people should know, parents should know about building credit? Is there anything else?
When your child is old enough to start, getting their first apartment or opening utility accounts in their name, and hopefully well before them, you really just want to reiterate the importance of managing your credit carefully. And I like to just really talk about the benefits. Like you were talking at the opening of the show about credit card points and how you can earn free vacations. Just instead of it just being a kind of warning, which mom and dad, we like to give those a lot, of course, and that's our job. But if you can impart the benefits into your child of what they're going to get if they keep their lease paid on time with their apartment, what they're going to get if they keep that cell phone paid on time, then I think it starts to click, especially if at the age of either 18 or 21, they can establish their own credit card and start building some of their own reward points, and eventually buy a house and things that matter much more than credit card points, obviously. But talking about the benefits, I think, is the way to kind of get through to your child and help them understand the value of all this effort of managing your credit and being careful with your money.
I love that. I love how you say that, because it's so true. As parents, we need to show them the positive as well as the negative. And one of the big benefits that Michelle and I both enjoy, and actually one of the reasons we came together, so that interest in earning credit card points for travel, for other, it could be cash back. But my kids, I'm sure your kids as well, Michelle, could probably have conversations together even about the importance of using your credit cards mindfully, carefully, responsibly, and earning points from things like regular grocery spend that then translate into amazing family vacations, like just like I mentioned earlier, that my friend Mike Osterman is with his son in Alaska, and that was earned by being smart about utilizing credit card points, which only works when you can pay your credit cards off every single month in full, because otherwise it's just not a good exercise to have. So thank you so much, Michelle. That was so helpful. And I think it was very eye-opening. I think it's really good information, especially for parents. And imagine if all of us had this knowledge when we were younger, right? I felt that when I got my first credit card, I felt like I was the only one in my high school class that had a credit card. I felt like, wow, this is really cool. And I was thinking that really helped build a strong foundation of credit card responsibleness at a younger age, even before I started college. So let's have some fun. Michelle, you're a guest on our show, and that means, you know what? We are getting ready for our speed round. All right, my friend, are you ready, Michelle? Because we give you a minute and we ask you some pretty tough questions here. So here we go. First question, Michelle. Let's dream a bit. All right, let's dream a bit. You and your beautiful family have just won your state lottery. In fact, we're going to make sure that it's $1 million. What does next year now look like for you?
Well, I would definitely, do some responsible things, tuck away money for savings and for the future, but I would have to earmark some money for fun. We would take some really amazing trips. I think my family and I love to travel, so I would see a nice European tour, maybe some Caribbean island time, just a lot of really fun travel with my family.
I love that. Okay, let me ask you this. What is your kids' favorite travel destination that you've taken them to so far? Do you think?
Oh, goodness. So it would be a toss up between Disney World, of course. They just love the mouse. But also, we went to Mexico a couple of years ago before the pandemic and went on a cruise, and they absolutely loved that. They love the beach and the sun and swimming. So.
Oh, I love it. Well, with $1 million, you can go to see the mouse quite a bit. You can do Florida, go to Disney World, and then you can do a Disney cruise, right? To the beach. By the way, I gotta say, the Disney cruise to Castaway Cay in the Caribbean is like amazing for kids. Like that's like happiness for kids all day long. All right, love that. All right, Michelle, second question, and that is, what's the best job that you ever had, and most importantly, what made it the best?
I would actually say what I do now for a living is the best job I've ever had. At the beginning of 2019, I formed a company. I became a full-time freelance credit writer and speaker and credit expert witness. Kind of left the 9-to-5 day job that I had prior to that in the credit industry. And I have just loved the freedom that kind of being my own boss has given me. I still get to talk to consumers about credit and things that I'm passionate about all day because I am still a hardcore credit nerd at heart. But I love the flexibility of, getting to go meet my kids at school for lunch when I want to, or, not having to get childcare right now for my infant because my husband and I can switch off taking care of him at home, and have just really been able to enjoy this precious time while he's tiny because my job gives me the flexibility and freedom to do that now.
I love that. Well, congratulations on that. 2019 was a good year for you, and we are grateful for everything that you do. I will tell you, I met you a few years back, and I've really enjoyed not only getting to know you because you're someone I I truly consider a friend, but also the knowledge that you bestow and share to so many of us. And I'm glad that you're okay with this topic, because this is something I've been very excited about sharing with our community. So, Michelle, where can people learn more about you, follow your journey, and of course, follow your content? Because I know there's a lot of knowledge, and I imagine there's going to be more developments in terms of credit going forward. So I think they actually really pay attention to the next few years. I think are going to be very big.
So there's 3 great places you can find me. My website is creditwriter.com. And on Instagram, I'm creditwriter at creditwriter. And then on Twitter, if you're on there, it's at Michelle L. Black.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I hope that those of you who are watching, I hope that you learned something today and you gained value, because I certainly did. And this is what we do, right? Sharing is caring. Thank you so much, Michelle Black, the one and only Michelle Black, for being here. Thank you also for watching and supporting our program. Please take a moment to share this show all over social media, right? Sharing is caring. And as a reminder, you can find full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. So be well, and I can't wait to see you again this week. Take care now.
Thank you so much, Winnie. Bye-bye.
Thank you, my friend.